So you might be going off to college and you're disabled, or maybe you have a family member who's in the same situation. Well, I think that's awesome. But you might be wondering how going to college could affect your public benefits. In this video, we're going to talk about how public benefits, specifically SSI benefits, are impacted if you're working or if somebody else is paying for your room and board, and also look at financial aid. Let's dive in. So before you go off to college, I have to share a point with you. Everyone should sign a durable power of attorney and an advanced healthcare directive. I have videos on both of these topics, but once you turn 18, if you have capacity, you definitely need to sign these two documents. So this allows your parents or another trusted relative or family member or friend to sign on your behalf if something happens to you, okay? Super important. This avoids conservatorships in the future. So please get this done. And this is not just to disabled people. This is everybody who turns 18 should sign a durable power of attorney and an advanced healthcare directive. Now also, if you haven't done so already, you should connect with the Disabled Students Program at the college. They provide great resources and support. I've heard amazing stories of kids who have gotten extra time to take tests, they've gotten extra tutoring and other accommodations. It's really worth it. But I really want to focus on supplemental security income. Once you turn 18, and if you're disabled, according to Social Security Administration, you can qualify for SSI benefits. In California, you can receive up to $1,182 a month. Now, I have a video that goes over the basics of SSI called Supplemental Security Income 101. So please watch that after you see this video. So sometimes students work part-time while they're going to school, or they might work during the summer while they're in school. How does this affect their SSI? So for regular people receiving SSI, so a regular disabled person who's not a student, you basically receive your monthly income, which I mentioned in California is up to $1,182 a month. And then if you're working, then the SSI has a general income exclusion of $20 and then another deduction of $65. And then they exclude 1/2 of whatever you're earning. This remaining amount of earnings can reduce your SSI. So let's take a guy named Peter, for example. He's not a student and he receives SSI and he's also working and he's getting, let's say, $585 a month. And you'll see, I chose that number because it makes the math a little bit easier. So how much would his SSI be reduced? Well, first you take that $20 general income exclusion and then the $65 deduction. So now we're down to $500. Then you deduct $250 of that, which is half of that amount. So the remaining $250 is what's deducted from SSI. So Peter is going to then receive $1,182 minus $250, or $932 a month in SSI benefits. And then he also gets to keep his job. So combined, he can get what he earns, $585 a month, plus the $932 a month of SSI, which totals $1,517 a month, which isn't that bad. But for an SSI recipient who qualifies as a student, there's this thing called the Student Earned Income Exclusion, or SEIE, which can apply. It's really cool. I want to describe it to you. So to qualify for SEIE, the student must be under age 22 and they have to be regularly attending school. So what does that mean? That means if they're in high school, they have to attend school at least 12 hours a week, or if they're in college, they have to attend 8 hours a week, or for vocational training, they have to attend 12 hours a week. The student must attend school at least 1 month per quarter to qualify for SEIE. So now, why should you care? Well, here's the beauty of SEIE. If you qualify, as of 2024, the first $2,290 of monthly earnings is disregarded for calculating SSI. And you can earn up to $9,230 a year if you're under the SEIE program and it doesn't reduce your SSI check. It's amazing. So I want to give some examples. So remember that guy Peter who we were talking about? Now let's say that Peter is a student and he qualifies for SEIE. Okay, so he's working part-time while he's going to school. He's earning $585 a month. Since that amount is well below the $2,390 a month that he can earn while in college under SEIE, he gets to keep his entire paycheck and his entire SSI paycheck. So his monthly income would be $585 plus $1,182 that he'd be getting under SSI. So that total is $1,767. Pretty cool, huh? Now, with that amount, he could actually work the entire year at $585 a month. Because if you multiply that times 12, that would be $7,020, which is below, again, the yearly income exclusion of $2,390. But wait, it gets better. Now let's say Peter is a student and he's on summer break. And let's say he wasn't working during the year because he was really focusing on school, but now he's on summer break and he wants to work a lot. So let's say he earns $2,000 a month during June, July, and August. Under regular SSI rules, he would lose his SSI entirely because that's over the $1,182 a month limit. But under the SEIE rules, that $2,000 of monthly income is below the limit of SEIE, which is $2,390. So he gets to keep all of his income and all of his SSI benefits. Win-win. So basically, during those 3 months, he's bringing in $1,182 of SSI plus $2,000 of his paycheck. So that's $3,182 a month of income. I love it.
Hey everyone, if you like my mom's video, like and subscribe.
Now, what about student housing? So the normal rule is if you're living somewhere and someone else is paying for your housing and you're receiving SSI, then Social Security Administration thinks that you shouldn't be receiving that full amount of the SSI paycheck because you don't need as much. So they reduce it by 1/3 of the federal SSI amount, which we call the ISM deduction, in-kind support and maintenance deduction. Now, for a long time, it was food and shelter that would reduce an SSI check, but rules are actually changing. So pretty soon, payment for food will not be considered as part of a possible ISM deduction. And I discussed this in my video called 2024 SSI Updates, What You Need to Know, and it's good news. But here's the thing. If a student was living at home and then they went to live in a dorm and they're living at home, their absence is considered temporary because the student is planning on returning home, then having room and board paid by somebody else, like a parent, during that temporary absence shouldn't be triggering an ISM deduction. So let's say Peter just turned 18 and he's receiving SSI and he's still living at his parents' house, but he starts to pay his parents $334 a month of rent each month. Now, why did I use that weird number, $334? Because under the new SSI rules, you only have to pay $334 a month to not have the ISM deduction apply. That's a new change also that I described in that video I mentioned, the good news video. So take a look at that. Okay, so now Peter goes off and he lives in a dorm and his parents pay for his room and board during the 9 months that he's at college as a freshman. So what happens there? Well, as long as Peter is still paying that $334 a month for rent at his parents' place, even though he's not living there, there's no ISM deduction for his parents paying for room and board at the dorm. Since the dorm is just the temporary residence, but Peter is taking care of that ISM issue at his permanent residence, Peter's planning on moving back home. And even if he's not planning on moving back home, he still should, just for this issue. Okay, so the last thing I want to discuss is whether receiving financial aid will affect your SSI benefits. So there's a couple of different types of financial aid. One type is under the Title IV Higher Education Act. And there are programs like the Pell Grant, Federal Work Study, or Perkins Loan, and there's several others. So for those types of financial aid, that should be excluded from income and resources for public benefits purposes. It doesn't matter how long you're receiving the assistance or when you use the money, it's excluded altogether. But there are restrictions on other types of financial aid you might be receiving. So these would be under, different fellowships or grants, anything that's not under Title IV HEA. For those, that assistance is excluded from your countable income only if it's used to pay tuition, fees, and other necessary educational expenses. If the financial aid isn't used immediately, you can keep it up to 9 months and it still doesn't count as income or resources. But if you don't pay it within or use it within the 9 months, then it does count as a resource. So you need to check to see which kind of financial aid you're receiving and see if there's any limitations on how it can be used. So college is such a a special time of life, I think. And understanding these public benefits rules can really help you fully enjoy your college experience. Now, I want to invite you to subscribe to our monthly newsletter that we have at Cookman Law, where we send out updates about public benefits laws and things that affect the special needs community. There's a link in the description box below if you'd like to subscribe. Thank you.
Hello everyone. If you liked my mom's video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you all next time. Yeah.